I hope a day may soon be appointed to consider the state of the nation with respect to America. I hope gentlemen will come to this debate with all the temper and impartiality that His Majesty recommends and the importance of the subject requires. A subject of greater importance than ever engaged the attention of this House. That subject only excepted when, near a century ago, it was the question whether you yourselves were to be bond or free. I will only speak to one point, a point which seems not to have been generally understood, I mean to the right. Some gentlemen seem to have considered it as a point of honour. If gentlemen consider it in that light, they leave all measures of right and wrong to follow a delusion that may lead to destruction. It is my opinion that this kingdom has no right to lay a tax upon the colonies. At the same time, I assert the authority of this kingdom over the colonies to be sovereign and supreme in every circumstance of government and legislation whatsoever. They are the subjects of this kingdom, equally entitled with yourselves to all the natural rights of mankind and the privileges of Englishmen, equally bound by its laws, and equally participating in the constitution of this free country. The Americans are the sons, not the bastards of England. Taxation is no part of governing or legislative power. The taxes are a voluntary gift and grant of the Commons alone. This House represents those Commons, the proprietors of the lands, and those proprietors virtually represent the rest of the inhabitants. When, therefore, in this House we give and grant what is our own. But in an American tax, what do? We, Your Majesty's Commons for Great Britain, give and grant to Your Majesty what? Our own property? No. We give and grant to Your Majesty the property of Your Majesty's Commons of America. It is an absurdity in terms. There is an idea in some that the colonies are virtually represented in the House. I would fain know by whom an American is represented here. Is he represented by any knight of the Shire in any county in this kingdom? Or will you tell him that he is represented by any representative of a borough which, perhaps, its own representatives never saw? This is what is called the rotten part of the Constitution. It cannot continue a century. The idea of a virtual representation of America in this House is the most contemptible idea that ever entered into the head of a man. The Commons of America, represented in their several assemblies, have ever been in possession of the exercise of this, their constitutional right of giving and granting their own money. They would have been slaves if they had not enjoyed it. At the same time, this kingdom, as the supreme governing and legislative power, has always bound the colonies by her laws, by her regulations and restrictions in trade, in navigation, in manufactures, in everything except that of taking their money out of their pockets without their consent. The gentlemen tell us America is obstinate. America is almost in open rebellion. I rejoice that America has resisted. I am no courtier of America. I stand up for this kingdom. I maintain that Parliament has a right to bind, to restrain America. But she must so rule it as not to contradict the fundamental principles that are common to both. The Americans have not acted in all things with prudence and temper. They have been wronged. They have been driven to madness by injustice. Will you punish them for the madness you have occasioned? Rather, let prudence and temper come first from this side. I will undertake for America that she will follow the example. I will beg leave to tell the House what is my opinion. It is that the Stamp Act be repealed absolutely, totally, and immediately.